Good morning. Today is Monday, March 21st, 2022. As we discussed yesterday, this coming Shabbos, we read a special Torah portion. It's the third of four special Torah readings that come before Pesach, and that is Parshas Parah, the reading of the Parah Aduma, the red calf, and this describes a ritual that applied during the time when the Beis Hamikdash, the Holy Temple, was standing in Jerusalem. We do not have it today, but it describes a ritual where this animal was prepared and there were ashes, it was mixed with water, and then a person who was tameh, ritually impure, would appear before a Kohen, and on the third day and the seventh day, the Kohen would sprinkle that person with the water. At the end of 7 days, they would immerse in a mikvah, and they would be tahar, ritually pure. It is a little odd, curious at least, that every year on this Shabbos, which is always approximately 3 weeks before Pesach, we read this portion which is about a ritual we do not perform, which we do not understand. The logic of it escapes us even after more than 3,000 years of trying to analyze it, but the logic of how it works still escapes us. And it's about an animal that no one has seen. This Parah Aduma is an animal, a calf that's born with entirely reddish hair, no hairs of any other color, which no one has even seen. So let me just make a suggestion. Maybe it's enough with this. Why do we keep reading the same passage about something every year that no one has seen, no one does, no one understands? Let's find something else to read this Shabbos. So there's a phrase in the Talmud. It occurs thousands of times. Students of the Talmud probably don't even notice it, take it for granted, because it's so ubiquitous, and the phrase is Tashma. Tashma. The words Tashma mean come and hear. And it's the standard opening of any discussion in the Talmud. Just starts, Tashma, come and hear. What it means is, come, ask, listen, consider, because there is an answer. There is a reason. There is a significance that if you give the attention and give the time to look into it, to listen, to consider, it may resonate with you. It may not, but at least tashma, at least come and consider it and think about it, and then be able to evaluate whether it's something that is meaningful. Don't simply discard something at the first moment that you don't understand it, it appears inscrutable to you. Because perhaps if you stretch yourself, you'll see the meaning. You'll see the wisdom. You'll see the significance. Again, maybe not immediately. Maybe not intuitively. But don't give up right away. Tashma, put forth the effort to listening, to considering, to stretching, to trying to understand what this is all about. When the Beis Hamikdash was standing, the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, there was a mitzvah that every single Jew traveled to Jerusalem for Pesach, as well as for the other holidays, Shavuos and Sukkos, but Pesach in particular, because first of all, there's this mitzvah for each of the three festivals, Aliyah L'Regel, to travel to Jerusalem so that the entire Jewish people was celebrating 3 times a year these 3 festivals in their entirety, collected as a nation, an incredible experience we can hardly even imagine. Also for Pesach, there was the Karban Pesach, the Paschal offering, that each family group would get together and they would offer this animal as a karban, as a sacrifice, on the afternoon before Pesach, and they would take that home and roast it over an open fire, and that would be the main course of the Seder meal, which had to be eaten in Jerusalem. It must have been magnificent, something, again, awe-inspiring, amazing, to imagine the entire Jewish people collected in Jerusalem, celebrating Pesach together. But here's the thing. To participate in this amazing, overwhelming, fantastic, life-altering event, you can't just walk in. You have to prepare in advance. Because if you are tameh, ritually impure, you're not allowed to enter the Beis HaMikdash, the courtyard of the temple, and you're not allowed to participate in the Karban Pesach, in the Paschal offering. That means everyone else is gathered together, and you're outside by yourself having matzah and charoses, when everyone else is enjoying this beautiful mitzvah of the Karban Pesach. And keep in mind, most people on a regular basis during the year were tameh, ritually impure. If you ever attended a funeral, you're tameh. If you ever visited someone in the Jewish General Hospital, you're tameh. If you're ever in a place where Nebuch, someone had passed away, was in that building, you are tameh. And there, as I said yesterday, there's nothing wrong with that. It would be just the normal way that a person would go about their life under normal circumstances. So, the Torah portion that we read this Shabbos describes the process, which is a 7-day process that involves the parah aduma, the ashes from the parah aduma mixed with water coming before a Kohen. But the bottom line is, the process takes 7 days. So, 3 weeks before Pesach, we make an announcement. Pesach is coming, and it requires preparation. So, please start now. Because if you just show up that day, you won't get in. You won't understand it. You won't be able to appreciate it. And we use the same reading today for the same message, even though the specific ritual that we describe is not practically applicable to us today. But the message that that ritual has, and the message that announcing it 3 weeks before Pesach has, is just as applicable today as it ever was, and that is, Pesach is in just over 3 weeks. And if you just show up at the Seder, chances are you'll be bored. You'll be hungry. And you'll be uninspired. Maybe you've seen or heard Haggadah on 1 foot, or the 5-minute version of the Seder. All right. You might be amused by something like that. You may certainly enjoy the company, especially this year. Hopefully we'll be together with more of our family and friends. That will certainly be meaningful, even if just considering that by itself. You may enjoy a delicious dinner, and I hope that those things are true for you and for me. But you won't be transformed if you haven't prepared in advance. You won't be inspired, because it takes effort. It takes preparation. It takes work. Tashma. Come, listen, think about it, learn about it, Consider it beforehand, because if you just show up that night and expect to be inspired, it's not going to happen. The message of reading the Parsha of Paraduma this Shabbos, is the reminder that between now and Pesach, you have just over 3 weeks. Stretch yourself. Read a new Haggadah with a commentary. There are more editions of the Haggadah with different commentaries. There are more editions of that work than any other Jewish work printed. Attend classes. Read essays about the Seder, about the Haggadah, about the different topics, about ways to make it relevant to your life, to connect it to things that are happening in our world. Make it meaningful, but you have to put forth the effort. Tashma. You have to work on it now. There is room for a ritual to be creative and accessible and modern, to speak to us today, to be fun, to be empowering. All of those things are good, and we need to work on them. But you have to stretch to be holy, to reach holiness, to be transformed, to be inspired. You have to stretch to gain that benefit. And you certainly have to stretch to put forth the effort, tashma, to consider, to think about in advance. You certainly have to do that in order to pass it along to your children and your grandchildren. Because if you just show up, you will not be able to accomplish that. Because for that, there is no shortcut. So I say this to you, and I say this to myself this coming Shabbos. When we read this weird, mysterious Torah reading, think about this message. And I promise you, if that is the way we prepare for Pesach, in addition to all the other kinds of preparation, if that's the message that we take from hearing the Parsha of Paraduma this Shabbos, to get ready, to extend effort, to prepare for Pesach spiritually and intellectually, we will transform what our experience will be this Pesach. So to all of us, to myself, the time has come. Tashma. Let's come and listen. Let's come and study. Let's consider. Let's get ready. And then it will be meaningful for all of us. My friends, I want to wish you a great day. And I look forward to seeing all of you soon in person.